Welcome to UNCAGED. Today we're speaking with Richard Rolka. Richard is the Global CFO for Vivaldi. Tell us a little bit about you and your career.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me on the show, Ben. So again, I typically don't like to talk about me. I play a little bit of a back office role, but where do I start? I've been in business for 25 years, 15 of it with Vivaldi, which is a milestone, an amazing milestone, and I couldn't be proud of it. So amazing 15 years next to our consultants, next to our creatives, next to our amazing group of people, and I think that's really the fun that keeps me at Vivaldi, the challenge of constantly not only helping clients reinvent themselves, but also going through our own reinvention.
Yeah.
Under again my remit, again I started in accounting, I started in finance, I became the chief financial officer, but my role spans sort of across the entire business in some way, from strategy all the way to how we show up in market, how we really manage the business together.
Yeah, I mean, and what an exciting period of time. I mean, for 15 years, Vivaldi has really grown and expanded from its original focus to really what it is today, which is, helping companies reinvent and really grow by using brand innovation and design. But tell me a little bit about that journey, I mean, and where you and the team are focused right now.
Yeah, no, it's been a fun ride. Again, that the company started around this notion of brand leadership, right? That in order for CEOs to really be able to brand and manage their business, they really need to understand the role of the brand as an intangible asset, right? So Erica founder coined the term brand as a face of your business strategy, and we've been very true to that model ever since we started the firm. Of course, over the years, as our internal mission has always been writing this next chapter and how people, meaning our employees and our customers, grow and prosper in some way. We've been continually writing that next chapter for ourselves and evolving our capabilities. It's really been a fun journey, because if you really think about it, where the world is today, you can't overlook technology and the massive shifts that companies are making in order to adapt, and how they are sort of leveraging the power of their people, at the same time the power of technology to position and compete with the best, right? Most of the companies today, if you really are honest, are technology companies at the core, right? At the top end of it, at least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what an interesting kind of focus that you guys have. I mean, everyone is obsessed with finding growth. Not always easy to find during a pandemic moment, or easy to find perhaps in an economic challenging period. But tell me a little bit about the work that you and the team are focused on, and what customers are really gravitating to right now. What is the focus right now?
So it's again, as a firm that again at the core is fairly generous, right? Because people come to us with complex problem, right? So you mentioned today. What's today on the agenda today? People want to prepare themselves for the recession and find how do I get customers in this time frame, right? So we always have been on this. Again, I'd like to say that we help these established companies find a way to compete in this very complex platform economy, right? Where the Googles of the world and the Amazons of the world all of a sudden are dominating their respective spaces, and where categories and boundaries are no longer sort of really relevant, right? They're fluid. So what we do is we work with our clients again to show them the path on how they create these roadmaps for transformation or reinvention in some way. Because again, if we're really honest, you can't really reinvent the business by chasing the latest innovation. You really need to look at your core of your business strategy. And when you think about the core of your business strategy, what do you have there? You have your core business, right? you have your core customers, you have you have your people who are actually, right, need to be transformed in some way because they're probably not ready, just like you are not, for that transformation. And then you have your brand. You really need to be true to your aspirations and what you stand for, even though, again, of course, the problems that you're probably solving today are broader than what you solved yesterday, because you and I are both consumers and customers. Our expectations are constantly rising, right? So if we don't like a product or a brand, we'll switch in a minute, because again, if somebody else gives me a better convenience and the same quality, why would I want to be with one brand versus the other? So it's a very interesting dynamic that we're facing. And again, the fun part is for us is taking these more established traditional companies and creating these roadmaps for growth, right? Which many times involve new ways of looking at your consumers and your entire ecosystem, new ways of, you know, looking at your brand, because your brand plays a different world where you're looking at a broader value creation, right? And of course, you know, innovation as well. I mean, innovation has also always been at the core of Vivaldi. And again, we're always helping clients find new ways to grow, right? And again, when you get it right, when you leverage technology and network effects and all of the things that we talk about, you can create not just sustainable growth, but exponential growth, right? Like, you know, because again, it's the power of networks. We all know what that means, right? Power of communities. And that's really the fun, right? Like taking our clients on that journey to really understand that there's a new way to grow in today's platform economy.
Yeah, it's really interesting to hear you describe it, because in some ways, a lot of those elements are almost timeless, right? I mean, these are things that all businesses have to get right. They have to know, they have to understand the kind of the core principles of their brands. They have to understand what they stand for, what they believe in. And it's always interesting, though, that perhaps some triggers that happen in the marketplace suddenly force us to think about those things again, right? So perhaps maybe the challenges with global warming and the push towards sustainability perhaps have companies thinking about these things more aggressively now. But I mean, it's a really interesting time to think about brands. But let me shift gears for a second and talk about you, Richard, because it's amazing to be part of a company where you've been there really from the early years to now, a little bit more of a mature company. Tell me a little bit about what gives you joy in that process.
So I think it's what you just said, right? As any business leader, right, you constantly need to challenge yourself to make sure that you're growing, right? Like I mean, you can look up any of the leadership frameworks, right? You really need to have the servant leadership mindset. And the fun part of being at Vivaldi for me is, again, as I mentioned to you before, writing that next chapter. We're always innovating. We're always bringing new ideas to our clients. We're always, you know, and we're trying to really build these trusted relationships. So the field of play for me, right, being able to work with our amazing people and work on the culture, right, and transform the culture of the company by integrating. I mean, if you really think about what it takes today to build a business, right, you need amazing research capabilities, right, data analytics, technology. That's a different culture from a strategy consultant that went through you know, and their business school training, from a creative that thrives on you know, walks in the museum and art and beautiful things, right? So maintaining, being part of the leadership and you know, looking at these sort of new levers that maybe in the past we overlooked. When you bring different people together to this amazing culture, I mean, it takes a village to solve these tough problems, right? Not just the smarts, but the art and science of both things. And I think we're doing a wonderful job integrating all of this and creating an engagement model with our clients where they get the best of it without, again, you know, sacrificing the quality or efficiency, right? Because everybody wants to be efficient. Everyone wants things done today, not tomorrow. But I think we're doing a great job from that perspective, and that's what drives me. Just being able to, you know, talk to these people or talk to our teams, right? See the wonderful work what we do and be able to problem solve together with them, and at the same time always keep an eye on the on the bigger pictures, like how do we continue reinventing Vivaldi and making sure that the culture and the people come first, right? Because
Yeah.
without the people, you can't achieve big things and with your clients, right? And that's where my heart is to
Yeah,
really.
and it's what a great challenge, because I think about my life has been, I'd say 3/4 of my professional life has been in the service industry, more in agencies and consultancies. And 1/4 of it has been in technology, platform businesses, real tech platform businesses. And I still have such a soft spot for my services background. And I think one of the areas is really where you play, which is scaling a service business, right? So, I mean, Vivaldi now has operations all over the world: New York, London, Dusseldorf, Singapore, I mean, all over the place, right? So how you scale out a services business is quite a challenge.
Oh, absolutely. Even the hours of waking up and having 3,000 emails before you open your phone. I mean, absolutely, right? Because it is a 24/7 business, and honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. That's the fun of it, right?
Yeah.
Being able to be connected to these different cultures and different market needs and really thriving in that global economy. And that's what I'm also trying to teach my kids, right? Showing them that the world is bigger than who you sit next to or who you work with in the office. And that's the same message I tell our employees as well. Please do not define your world by who you sit next to in your office, right?
Yeah.
Your world is one Vivaldi, and we have amazing global capabilities, and it's up to us to continue nurturing these connections, right? Build trust with each other, because we are so much stronger as one team versus just offices or capabilities or people. And that requires a lot of work, right? You need to do,
Yeah.
you want to make sure that the best ideas win. And in order for that to happen, you need to make sure that you have an environment where trust and safety, right? Some people call it psychological safety. I
Yeah.
call it trust, right? And reliability and credibility can thrive. And people really can see through that, right? When the environment is there and the politics are removed, and you really are trying to be there for each other and solve a problem.
Yeah, I love what you're highlighting here, which is that trust. And certainly I would say over the last couple of years, because of the fractionalization or fragmentation that happened because of COVID and
Yeah.
because of kind of the world events, it's been tricky to be an international bridge builder, Richard, as you know. But I think that it's certainly something that we have to figure out. And when it comes together, it's so much more powerful, so much more that we can do. So I really love that idea. Well, Richard, as you look forward in 2023, here we are, another year full of lovely challenges, but also opportunities. Tell us a little bit about what the focus is this year.
So the focus is, I think, twofold. I mean, there are clearly needs that we need to address short term, right? Everybody's bracing for the same thing across the world. I personally think it's almost like a self-inflicted wound. We talked about this recession for so long that it now is coming, right? 6 months in the making. But
Yeah.
nevertheless, people are concerned, and so we're innovating with our clients around these recession-proof strategies, right? How do you actually protect the short term, right? How do you
Mm-hmm.
not lose what makes you great? But at the same time, it's a perfect opportunity to really rethink this long-term value creation. And this is where our business reinvention work is so important, because it really, again, it doesn't chase occasional brilliance, occasional innovations. It really looks at the core of your business and applies the basic principle of what is required in a strategic thinking today, right? It looks at your demand, your customers, your assets
Yeah.
that you have, and how do you actually nurture that and continue, treating them as your most important asset. It looks at a broader ecosystem, right? Like how can you actually when I say ecosystem, is bigger than just partnerships and stuff, because that's also important, right? You need to look at partnerships, but looking also at sort of like how do you create these network effects and learning effects and and viral effects, right, with your consumers. So we have a lot of thought leadership, and we are a thought leadership driven company around how companies can apply that thinking into very practical tools and solutions. And at the same time, I mean, it is data analytics, right? If you don't have a good hold on that as a business today, you're probably missing out, right? Because at the core of every reinvention is really being able to capture the consumer data, the business data, the data that typically sits in the silos of the organizations, and turn it into a machine, right? That gives you insights, that allows you to really put the best strategies and in some way de-silo the organization. Because if you think about what is the biggest problem with scale that our clients have, is that siloed approach where data, the consumer data is different from financial data, is different from marketing data, and where a lot of fun for us is to show people what they already have, but they didn't know that they do. Again, using data, technology, and analytics to inform their strategies, inform their business, and create a future version of it, right? Create the next version of it.
Yeah, I love the fact that the company, the Vivaldi, is working on that kind of short-term strategy need, which is perhaps, what do you do with a recession? How do you make sure that you're covering your bases for any type of crisis that could happen in the immediate term, whilst also going back to those principles and thinking about, okay, where's that true north? How do we shift? How do we move? It's fascinating for me to talk to businesses right now, because the more progressive, smarter businesses, I can see them placing bets like that. They're starting to kind of restructure, rethink, retheme. They're looking at larger themes. They'll look at like the theme of machine learning. They'll look at the fact that the markets are down right now and how can they reposition capital, et cetera. They're making bets that are not reaping immediate reward. Like there's no immediate reward. But if they're right, I mean, these will be companies that will continue to dominate or leapfrog, right? And I think that that's really what you guys are getting at. Well, it's been amazing to talk with you, Richard, and amazing to hear about what Vivaldi is up to. If someone wanted to learn more about what you and the team are working on, where's the best place to reach you?
I mean, clearly, we the website, always reaching out through the website is the easiest channel. Phone calls, of course, and I'm always, my door is always open. I'm always available, right? I'm on LinkedIn and other social media platforms. So of course, any time. And Vivaldi, as you mentioned, is present in different countries. So easy to find.
There's always someone awake. Well, Richard, thank you so much for joining us today. We've been speaking with Richard Rolka. He is the Global CFO of Vivaldi. Richard, thank you so much for being on the UNCAGED show, and we look forward to having you back.
Pleasure talking to you, Ben. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Cheers.